It's time for us to return to the Crossbell games and wrap them up.
Yay. I mean, not yay that we're wrapping it up. Actually, technically, we're wrapping it up later this year, but
No, I was very excited. She hates these games. She wants to be done with them. Throw them in the garbage.
don't slander me like this. I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
posters
yeah.
of both of these games in my bedroom now.
Yeah, and then you got big old X's through them because you hate them.
No, I didn't googly eye them like the other poster in my bedroom.
Oh boy. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Season Lamb Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc, Al, and Ladium.
Hello, hello.
This is episode 330. It is not 3:30 o'clock when we are doing this, but
No, it's 7:02.
that is the episode number, and we are talking about The Legend of Heroes Trails to Azure.
I always confuse to and from on the crossball games, and it's really frustrating to me that I can never get it right.
Yeah, that they should have not done that.
Yeah, it's so confusing. Like trails from zero to Azure. Make choose one.
Just make it all the same.
Yeah.
Make it easier for us. We're dum-dums.
Trails of Cold Steel. Trails in the sky.
Trails to Cold Steel 2, Trails from Cold Steel 3.
It's just always confusing. I get it wrong every single time.
No, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, Crossbell. We're back at Crossbell.
That we are.
I don't remember what episode. It was like a few weeks ago that we talked about Zero, right?
It was definitely not a few weeks ago.
Oh. Felt like it was recently.
That game came out last year.
It was a few weeks ago.
Al's just in her own little world of I don't know what. That was episode 306 in November of last year.
See, that was a few weeks ago.
That was 5 months ago.
Same thing.
My goodness, Al.
You know, my brain's dead. I'm sorry.
Just a little bit. Head empty, brain empty. It's all gone.
Stress baking.
Stress baking, yep. Anyways, Trails to Azure is a video game. It finally came out over here in English for the first time officially.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Geofront.
Yes. This game originally came out on the PlayStation Portable
Yo.
on September 29th, 2011 in Japan. Good long while ago. It came out on PC in March of this year. It was put out on the Vita with the expanded version, like with upgrades and stuff, on June 12th, 2014 in Japan. It came out on PlayStation 4 on May 28th, 2020 in Japan, and in March 2023 over here, and then on Switch as well in March 2023 over here. Like you said, this was made by the Geofront team, helped out by the Geofront team after they had done their fan translation of it, just like the previous game was, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, of course, also a sequel to the previous game as well. It has, all the same kind of doohickeys and upgrades if you get the Switch or PC version. The PS4 version, again, I think is just the PS4
the inferior
port
version.
Yeah, so if you are looking to get the fun stuff, get the Switch or PC version.
Mm-hmm. Switch version runs perfectly fine.
Yep. Got some fun doodads in there, like you can just skip through all of the company logos at the beginning, just get straight to the game. It loads like a PS5 game.
Yep.
Just like bam.
Bam.
There's a really cool thing in this game. I don't remember if it was in the other one or not, but there's a option you can turn on where it tells you each piece, each piece of the soundtrack that plays whenever it plays in the game.
What?
And it also tells you what soundtrack it's from.
What?
Yeah, it's real cool.
I missed that entirely. Where was that?
It's in the options somewhere.
No, nay.
Yeah, here's the song name, here's what soundtrack it's on. So you get to learn oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here from the previous game. It's in here. There's stuff from Sky in here.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to hear you see like all the titles for the new stuff.
And you have several from Sky the Third
Yeah,
that show
it's real
up.
cool.
That is really neat. I didn't know that that existed, but that's really rad.
Yeah.
Neat. You know what they didn't bring back though?
The good Geofront theme.
The Superior Battle theme and the Superior Geofront theme. Travesty.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
Travesty. And I mentioned to you that even they knew that those were inferior because when they did the like epilogue in Cold Steel 2, they used the Geofront theme from Zero and the battle theme from Zero because they know what's up. Much better.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the sequel. Remember how last game we were like, man, this feels kind of like its own game. Like you could just play this by itself and be completely fine. It has kind of like a beginning and an end.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real big cliffhangers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
This game is kind of the opposite of that.
Yep.
Because boy howdy, things are just off the rails pretty much from the get-go.
Yeah, they kind of throw you right into there, huh?
And things just keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Keep moving, keep escalating. And you really can see how like this is concurrent with Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like how like what the story is doing and everything and all of that. So it's like there's a lot happening in this game for sure.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Although I am still sad that there is one mistranslation with a Toa line in Orcus Tower. That bothered me a lot.
I still don't know what that is.
So when you talk to her when the event's happening, she says that class 4 is at Guerrilla Fortress.
Oh.
And it's supposed to be class 7, obviously. And she also says something about like the Imperial Times. That's supposed to be Imperial Chronicle.
Gotcha.
But like it's a pretty big problem to say class 4 when she very, very obviously means class 7.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that that wasn't like caught or patched or anything. But yeah, so you're like, oh wow, all this stuff is happening. Oh no, they're at the fortress. Oh no. And then like Comrade G is there. And then he's not. Because he dies.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you get some nice nods to things that are happening in Cold Steel. You get some nods to later Cold Steel too.
Yes. Whole lot's happening.
Whole lot's happening. And the wild thing is you don't even start with like the same crew because we talked a lot when we were playing Zero that like one of the things that's so nice about this is that you had the main 4 and like it was a tight group. You knew what was going on there. And then like you start this one, it's like, well, you don't get those characters yet.
No, like there's like, oh, they're off doing their own thing. They'll be back soon, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like they're doing things that are like, in line with what happened at the end of the first game, essentially.
Yeah.
So like Randy's off helping people who were like, brainwashed from the drugs and everything. Tio's off helping the Foundation, I think, or doing something of that nature. So like they're off doing their things to kind of like, patch things up after everything that happened in the first game, and then eventually they'll come back. But then you get the new recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Which are some interesting new recruits.
Wazzy is one of my favorite characters in this game.
What a weirdo.
He's such a weirdo. Wazzy is such a weird guy, and I love him for it. Like, he doesn't even apologize for just being an absolute turbo weirdo.
Yep.
And he's like, yep, this is me. Hello. What's up? How are you? I am Wazzy. I do like the original, like, I guess fan translation that wasn't Geofront translated it as lazy. which is pretty good because it's like I forget what characters it might be German or something, but it's like an L, but it's pronounced as a W.
Yeah.
So he was a lazy hemisphere,
Big
but,
lazy man.
but he is supposed to be Wazi hemisphere. Um, I don't know. He's sleazy. He's a troll.
Mm-hmm.
But like sleazy in a way that like not like Randy Orlando.
There's fun parts where like Randy even says like, what is with this guy? I don't know.
Right,
I can't
right.
handle
When,
it.
when Randy's like, "Whoa, buddy," you're like, "Oh, wow, okay." Um, yeah, those two, if they ever went partying together, would be
A sight to behold.
a sight. The other one that you're joined by is Noelle Seeker.
Who sure is there?
She sure is there. Um, I've mentioned it to you, and I will mention it again here. Fran Seeker is the superior Seeker sister.
Yeah.
Yep. She actually, has some kind of personality.
Agreed.
Yep. Yep. She's not super, super gung ho about the military.
No, that's yeah.
Yeah. Like the one point where they're like, hey, you're going to join up with this and you realize that might be going against your sister and all that. She's like, it. I'll do what I got to do. I'm like, good girl. Good for you. But yeah, you do have those two. And they're a lot of fun. I mean, Wazi's fun anyway.
They add some new dynamics and like just intriguingness to the entire group.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you straight up though, like once I got all my regular crew back, my main team was still the four.
Yeah, of course.
I had Wazi in the support. So we
I mean,
could.
that's the way to do it.
It's true. It's true. Way true. Um, yeah, cool characters, and then you have some other people kind of join with the SSS later.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Work together at least.
Not formally, they are comrades.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Comrades.
Comrades. Yeah, things are messed up. Crossbell's not okay.
That's an understatement, I think.
Crossbell is struggling.
Crossbell's having a bad time.
He's having a real bad time. Have this strange girl come in and grope people.
Yep.
Yikes.
Oh boy.
She did it again in 3, and I'm just like, this makes me really uncomfortable.
There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new, I guess not new faces per se, but like
Introductions of characters that we know.
yeah, I think that's a way to put it.
Because we played Cold Steel first.
And also some returning characters as well.
Hmm.
Which were certainly surprising.
Which one surprised you?
Our boy Kevin.
Oh. Yeah, Kevin and I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Reese.
Reese.
I don't know.
I would maybe Reese. I was so happy when I played this game whenever the Geofront patch originally released.
Yeah.
And they showed up again. I was like, oh, you. And I love that everybody still calls him an onion.
I was just surprised because, like, wow, they actually put you in a game that's not just your own. They acknowledge you exist.
Right, and it's not just like you and a piece of art at the end of a game.
Yeah.
Like they actually gave you a role in this game. You talk.
Like, whoa.
It's amazing. Like was that wild for you as somebody who hasn't played Sky?
In what way?
Like did it really like mean anything to you other than like, whoa, that's Kevin?
I mean, I know he's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I don't know him to like the extent that you do, but like, I feel like it was more of a surprise of like, wow, he's actually in a game that's not just 3. Because as far as I knew, like that's all he was in.
Right, right.
Like I didn't know he was in this game or anything, or he was even like would have been mentioned or anything.
Yeah, he
Because
was in
like,
second chapter in the third.
and like, because he doesn't show up in the Cold Steel stuff at all, except for like that very brief cameo in like the very end of Cold Steel 4. But even then, it's just like he shows up in a
Piece
bunch
of
of
art.
images. Yeah, so like it's not like he's even really there.
Right.
Like he doesn't make an impact in the way he does here.
No, like he's very actively involved here.
Yeah.
Whether he should be or not. Although I do think it's really funny that he and Reese are basically like a cover. It's pretty funny. Like, distract.
Don't mind us. We're just here.
You know, Crossritter, hi. That guy that's running the Crosswell Church is like,
I don't like you, get out.
Meanwhile, another little Crossritter guy is doing his thing.
Yep.
Having him a good time.
Sure is.
Not even being subtle about it.
God.
I love that conversation.
God.
It's so funny.
That whole sequence is just ridiculous.
Of the reveal.
Yeah.
At what point do we tell people like, hey, we're gonna talk about spoilers?
I feel like we've already kind of done that.
Okay, well,
We're kind of already in spoiler territory.
turn around if you do not want to be spoiled even further, because like,
Because every now and then you'll fall apart.
the reveal of Wazzy as is he the 9th Dominion or is he the 5th?
No, Kevin's the 5th.
Okay, so he's the 9th.
Let me see if it's this. Eventually, will show me here, or tell me here. That's what I meant to say. Blah 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 blah. I don't think this. I may have to like go onto his actual page to see. But continue on.
I could tell you because I have the Dominion page pulled up. Wazzy's the 9th. Okay. Kevin's the 5th.
Well, there you go.
Spoiler: Gaius is the 8th. Whoa. Thomas is the 2nd.
Game Boy's the 7th.
Oh my god. Yeah, he's just like, hey,
PT Dubs.
What up? Kind of been part of the church this whole time. Lloyd's like, huh. So this whole like testaments thing, you aren't really being too subtle. And Wazzy's like, no, I weren't really trying to be.
Yeah, he's like, no, that's the point. If people think we're just being like tryhards and just like going like super overt about it, they will never look into us because they'll never imagine that that's actually the case. And you're like, yeah.
You have a solid point there, my dude.
It was interesting because like the whole time, like even going back, I think into the original, like the first game, you realize there's something weird with Wazzy, and like you don't exactly know what it is, and especially it's more ramped up in this game in particular because like he joins you and everything. Mm-hmm. So like you don't know exactly what the deal with him is, and they don't really give you like any real hints about it either. So like you're just kind of left wondering like, okay, when's the shoe gonna drop on this? Mm-hmm. Like what exactly is his deal going to be? Is he going to actually turn out to be like someone working with the enemies or something, or like do like some kind of that turn, or is he like something else entirely? And it then turns out, oh yeah, he's something else entirely.
Something very much, because he just like disappears, and you're like,
yeah,
huh,
like that's suspicious.
Yeah, and he disappears at like a very important time that you're like, you should maybe not be gone, and yet you're gone. But then he just shows up, and Abbas is he's like second in command of the Testaments. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm his his right-hand man. I don't think he's a squire like Reese is, but he's basically his underling.
Yeah.
It's just really funny.
He's like, hey, what's up? I fly this big ship. Come hang out on our ship now.
It can go invisible. It's pretty
We have
cool.
airship travel now.
Well, all the girls that have their own airships.
No, I mean for like the game, we have airship travel now.
Oh, yeah. That's true. That's cool. That's cool.
It's real fun. Yeah, that was. I mean, that whole section, like that whole like the chapter right before, like not the chapter, but like the little intermission you get right before the end of the final chapter, and then the final chapter itself is just there's just so much happening in that final chapter, which like makes sense because like that chapter itself is like is much longer than any other chapter in the game. It's the length of like 2 chapters essentially, or even more, you would think. Like it's just things just start popping off and they just continue to pop off until the game ends.
They never stop.
No, it just keeps going and going and going.
Like even in the credits, it never stops. Like it's still popping off.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
It's wild. Although, like, one of the things that I will say for this game is that this might have some of the best pacing of any Trails game. Because like a lot of them do start off like pretty slow. And you know, they have some bits here where it's like, this part it's not as interesting as like this crazy bombastic thing that just happened. But like this one, like start to finish, going down.
I mean, it has the kind of pacing that like the even numbered Cold Steel games have.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
Because they don't have to really set stuff up that much. I mean, they have to set like a couple things up here, because there's a lot of like political machinations happening in this game in particular. But for the most part, like, you know, everyone's been established and everything, so we can kind of just like get going into the plot immediately, which is nice to have.
It's nice. It's nice. Although I did miss my Randy Orlando for a while there.
It's true. I was gonna be bummed if like, because you get him back and everything, and like everyone has new covers for their phone things, whatever you call them.
Enigmas?
Yeah, the Enigmas. So everyone gets like new covers because it's like a new game. I was gonna be real bummed if Randy's wasn't just
sexy lady.
Yeah, but it just becomes another one. I was like, all right, sick.
He maintains the sexy lady, but in a different color.
Yeah. It's very funny.
He knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he gets any sexy lady posters in this one though. He gets like a snowboard at one point, or is it surfboard?
It's one of those two.
I think it's a surfboard.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, Randy's a surfer? Interesting. And then I forget what the other thing he gets is.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other thing is either.
Wazzy gets a comfortable chair and a fish
An aquarium. Yeah. I love that one with Wazzy where like you go into his room after you get all the things, and then he's just sitting in the chair, and Wazzy's like, yo, you gotta check out this chair. It's so comfortable.
Like sitting in a cloud.
And Lloyd's just like, all right, let me check it out. Oh my God, you're right.
The most comfortable chair. They're just losing their shit over this chair.
It's real good.
It's so funny.
Oh man.
This one has some really good interactions with the like room objects, because like Kia has the like penguin costume.
I didn't get the penguin costume. I was real bummed.
Oh my God, so you didn't get that interaction?
No.
Okay, I have to tell you about it.
I've seen the picture of it where she has like the head on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. I didn't get the thing in the game, unfortunately.
So Lloyd buys her what he thinks is a penguin plush.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives it to her, and she's like, "Oh, that's not a plush. Like it has a zipper. You can get in on it. You can get in it." And he's like, "Huh, interesting. Do you want to try it out?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course I want to try it out." So they put her in the penguin costume entirely, and Lloyd is just suffering because he's like, "This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The cutest thing." And then everybody starts walking in. They're like, what is going on in here? Oh my God. Like literally everyone walks in. They're just like, my heart. I've never seen anything cuter in my entire life. And then like they go and like hug on her and all that. And I think it like fades to black and there's text over it that's like Kia was banned from ever wearing the penguin costume ever again. Because people couldn't handle how cute she was.
The insufferable parents strike again.
It's so fun. I love how much they like, especially Wazzy's like, oh man, you guys are super duper parents this time.
Mm-hmm.
He's calling him out.
Even by the end, he's like, "Yeah, I get it. I get it."
Yep. Well, by the end, he's like, ah, yeah, I'm the third papa.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you accept it.
Once
Good
you
for
become a
you.
member of the SSS, you automatically also become a parent.
Yeah, you become a parent. That's how it goes.
Mhm.
I just think it's really good that he's like, ah, yeah, okay, well, we have three proud papas now.
It's really funny.
Like, good, good. Because, like, Randy's straight up like, that's my kid.
Yeah.
That's my kid. I'll protect that. I'll protect that. I'm good. And of course, Lloyd is very much so like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically everybody's like, this is my child now. I will die for this child. Maybe literally. They don't actually literally die, but they would.
They very much would.
Yeah, I mean, Lloyd kind of pushed it at the end there.
No kidding.
Yikes. Yeah, like this game is political hotbed. You got stuff happening every which way. You've got like the Red Constellation stuff happening. You have the like big trade event happening. You hear stuff about Osborne.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Lecter dropped some bombs in this one. Just also wild.
It's very wild how like because obviously the way people over here experience these games was much different than how people in like Japan would experience these games, where they
Right.
would play these games first and then the Crossbell games, or
Mhm.
not? Excuse me, the Cold Steel games. Yes.
Crossbow, that Cold Steel.
Yes. This game in particular just spoils Cold Steel 1 and 2. It's like some of their big twists in that in this the game alone.
Yep. Yep.
And I was just like, huh, wow, that's something. I mean, obviously there's some stuff of it like that's not expanded upon, but like they just pretty much just straight up say some stuff in this game that's like, yeah, that's the twist at the end of Cold Steel 1. Here's the twist at the end of Cold Steel 2.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, huh. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, the whole time Lecter's like, yeah, I'm still kind of doing this thing. He's planning things, and Lloyd's like, how? How is he planning things?
Don't worry about it. I'm in a
It's
party
fine.
suit. I'm in my Hawaiian shirt. I'm ready to relax.
I love when he's in the Hawaiian shirt. Even when he's wearing like his regular clothes at the end, when he gets into a fight, he gets that rip and he gets really upset about it.
Such a weird dude.
Lecter's so strange. I cannot like even after playing both Crossbell games and all four Cold Steel games, like I can't. Well, and the Sky games, he's in that too. I can't put my finger on what he is.
Yeah. He's a very complex man. Complex motives.
He God. Yep.
Just the easiest way to describe him.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I mean, I should have thought of it, but you're right. Like he's not a villain at all, but he's not a good guy at all.
He's a tweener.
Yeah. Like he's got some serious trauma because of what his dad did. So that's butts. He's friends with a princess. That's wild. Which, like, people knew that if they played Sky. But man, it made me so happy when they reunited at the trade conference thing. I love that conversation in the stairwell. Love it. Made me so happy.
I was a big fan.
I'm a big fan. I think it's cute because like she's been like worried about him this whole time, and like she knows he's been around because like obviously she knows he works for the government because she's the princess of another country. Um, but like he just kind of disappeared on them and didn't tell them anything, and so this was like the first time they really got to have like a conversation. She's like, "You're okay. This is good. Good for them."
I'm not in my Hawaiian shirt though. I'm not as good as I could be.
No, you're right. You're right. Not in full gremlin mode with the Hawaiian shirt and petting the cat.
It's true.
Speaking of gremlin mode, Olivier makes an appearance here too.
Yep, sure does.
Oh man. Mueller's like, God, why?
I'm his manager. Please, he's a star. We need to get him back.
Please help. I'm wearing
help.
sunglasses.
I'm definitely not anything suspicious or anything. Don't worry about it.
No. By the way, he's squirrely. He'll get away from you.
I mean, not wrong.
Mm-mm. Not wrong at all.
God.
Man's wildin'.
Man's a mess.
He is a mess. Aha.
Aha.
He's such a mess though. Like seeing his sub story or side quest here, it's just like, oh my god, you.
Can't handle him.
I can't. I love him to bits. He's so silly. I don't know what. I don't know what. He's a wild man, but yeah, Mueller the whole time is just like,
Why do I deal with this?
suffering.
Free me. Get me out of this situation.
Save me. That's what he signed up for when he, I guess, was born as Mueller.
Yeah.
Mueller?
Vander.
Evander.
I mean, he was also born as Mueller.
He was also born as Mueller. Behold Evander style.
Behold.
I just love that he's like up on the roof playing his lute.
Oh, man.
He brings it up again in 3. Just so you know.
Man's wild.
That man's so wild. He's Can you imagine if Oliver, Wazzy, and Randy all went partying together?
They would shut the town down.
That would be the most
The
chaotic
nightlife
thing.
would not be able to handle it.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't. Like, how do you survive that? How did they survive?
That's the bigger question.
Like, that would be wild. Oh man. You know, I'd play that game. I feel like
man.
Randy and the Prince would definitely like get along.
Oh yeah, 100%. They super would.
Super would.
Oh man. But yeah, there's a lot of, like we said, returning and new faces in this game. We get to meet Randy's family in the Red Constellation for the first time.
Uncle and cousin.
Uncle and cousin, who they show up later, obviously, in other games. At least I know Shirley does for sure. But we get a lot of more just like Randy trying to deal with all that and coming to terms with it, and everyone, or they just want him back and everything. He's like, no, I got my own thing. Stop, go away, you weirdos.
Like, you're the war god, son. You gotta take over the family business. He's like,
No,
I'm SSS.
and the underlings are all just like, oh, Commander Randolph, you're back. Hello. How's it going? And he's like, shut up. Get Get out of my way.
Not me. I'm not that person.
Yeah. Ouroboros definitely makes more of an appearance in this game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We get a lot of
Yeah.
Campanella, the Professor Man, Arianord, whatever her name is. I forgot how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either, and I've been
But yeah,
playing
she's
3,
here.
so. Duvalie's here.
I was like, yeah, Duvalie.
The other 2 are here too, but Duvalie.
You're a gremlin. You
as
got
a
a lot. You
model.
got some stuff coming your way. You don't understand it yet, but
Man,
good luck.
does she have stuff coming her way?
Mhm.
But I did appreciate she got a portrait. That was cute.
Yeah. There are, because this is like based off of the I guess the enhanced version or whatever you want to call it. Like
Yeah.
you said during the trade conference, like Toa's there, even though like in the original game she probably would not have been there.
She was not.
Yuna shows up here
Mhm.
in the
Police Academy.
Police Academy, yes. So you can go talk to her at random times and like see what she's up to and how she's
Her siblings are there too.
responding to different events in the game and everything, which I thought was a real cool touch.
I think so, because like if you play 3 without that, she makes it sound like she's like super best friends with the SSS, and like playing the original version, you're like, huh, when?
I mean, they know of her and she knows them.
Right. She just makes it seem like they're very, very close.
Yeah.
And so it makes more sense when she'd be like, oh yeah, they gave me advice and stuff like that. Like, yeah, they did, because they would go by and see her in my canonical version. Which good for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, her twin siblings are also on West Street sometimes, just hanging out, chatting.
Chit-chatting.
So that was a cool thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so excited when I saw Toa.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing, especially because like it makes the tie-in more to like Cold Steel make a lot more sense. So it's a nice little touch specifically.
I think so. I really do.
Estelle and Joshua show back up near the end of the game along with Ren.
Oh my god, does that hurt?
I mean, it's a good part at the beginning where you see them show up and you're like, yeah.
Yep.
And then things go bad and you're like, no.
Oh man. Things go really bad and it gets really hard and I felt so terrible. But like it makes some of her later development in games make a lot of sense. Because you're like, oh, well, what happened to that? Oh, well, this is what happened to that.
Yeah, like there's also like good points or parts in like earlier on where you go see the puppet man. I forget what his name is, but like he basically comes in like he's like, because you go to see him early on in the game and you see him talking to Campanella and the professor, and then he's just like, look, I don't have anything to talk to you right now, but if you have anything you want to talk to me about at some point, come talk to me. Come to the whatever you call the
like little workshop thing.
Yeah, the workshop. That's what it is. Come to the workshop. I will hear you out because you helped Ren, and I owe it to her for that.
I may not have the answer you want.
Yeah,
but I will try and answer you at least.
And like you go back to him at some point later on, and like he does that. He owes up to his word and everything. He's like, yeah, I'll tell you about Ouroboros and everything. Like I know obviously I have ties to them, but like here's what I know and here's what's going on and everything.
And also then, at that point he's mad.
Oh yeah, he is upset because he's like, because this is after they had the Red Constellation like
tear apart Crossbell,
burn down Crossbell, and he's like, I worked hard to give these little puppets to Archon Sale, and they burned that place down and destroyed them, and I am very upset about this. They're using these ions that are not like what I used. Super sucks. I don't like it. Screw them.
Yep. I'll tell you everything I know.
Yeah, so like that part was really good, and then like you said, like at the end here where Joshua, Estelle, and Ren come to help you out because everything's going poorly here, and everyone's kind of trying to have to fight off a bunch of stuff. So they try and do that, and basically Potter Mater sacrifices itself to save them, to defeat this enemy they're doing, and it just destroys Ren.
Yeah, because there's no backup.
Hmm.
So like once he's done, he's done. And
Yeah.
like the one thing I mentioned to you that I really appreciate about this part is that like Joshua and Estelle like refer to him as like he's a person. Like they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he
Yeah.
passed away. Like he sacrificed himself. Like they don't treat him like, oh hey, this is just a machine that like she had. Like he's family to her, and they recognize that, and that's really nice.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it destroys her.
And you get that good scene in the one of the like villages. I forget which one, but like they're in a like a hotel, and like Ren's still just super upset, and like Joshua and Estelle are there, but also like um the puppet man's there.
It's in Maine's, the mining village.
Yeah, so like he's there as well because like he heard like, hey, Potter Mater got destroyed. You should come here and like see if you can do anything to help her. And like he
Mm-hmm.
shows up as well just to be like, yeah, she's not doing good, and like we're just all trying to help her out and make sure she's okay and can get over this and everything. I like it's a really really good scene between like all four of them and like the SSS who show up as well.
I mean, it shows like she has a support system, even though she thinks that she doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, 100%.
And I love that.
And like the reason like she comes back is because like or like comes back to Crossbell to help out essentially is because like she knows that her like actual family's here
And she wants to protect them.
and she wants to protect them. She's like, I'm not letting you guys destroy this. This is where my family is. Like, screw you.
Yeah.
It's also really good. But yeah, like
I also
that,
like that Kevin was the one who went to get them.
yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I just think it's funny. Kevin's like, yeah, I would pick him up. They wouldn't just let this go.
No, they would not. I super like the prologue or like the little chapter before the finale and where you're like the SSS are thrown in jail or like Lloyd gets put in jail, everyone else gets scattered,
Separated.
because they don't want the SSS doing anything to harm their plans and everything. And Lloyd's just in jail, and he's sitting there with fucking Garcia of the Mafia.
Yep.
And like they just have this like nice little chit chat about like Guy and everything and like all of that, and like they come up with this plan to break out, and the two of them work together and everything, and it's so good. And then like Lloyd is able to get out, and Garcia's like, I helped you this far, I'll hold them off for you so you can get out of here. And I'm just like, yeah, this is good.
I knew you would love that chapter.
Oh, it's so good.
I also love that he broke Lloyd's tooth.
It's like, I gotta make it look real.
Lloyd's like, oh god.
Ow, my tooth.
I really hope he either was able to visit a dentist or like some kind of magic can heal that, because ouch.
Yeah. And I think even like in the chapter beforehand where like everything starts to go down when like I think we have to talk about Ilya and like how like wild she is, especially in the last parts of this game where like Shirley like breaks through into Archon Sale and like just crashes their performance and drops a chandelier on Ilya, who like knocks the other gal out of the way, Sully out of the way to save her, and like the chandelier drops on her. I was just like, holy.
Yep.
And like
you see a pool of blood just appear under her.
I was like, did they just kill her off? What the hell? And like she goes into a coma for like from that until like the end of the game, where like eventually she wakes up from it, and you go see her a couple of times. And like one of the times you bring Risha with you, because eventually you get Risha after like you learn that she's Yin and everything and all that sort of stuff, and you start working together with Hayu, because Sal's just like, oh, I will help you out, ho ho ho, but I'll also release Risha of her contract because she has things to do and everything, but eventually we'll be business partners again probably. All that sort of stuff. But like,
just remember that we did this for you.
Yeah. But like once you get her initially, she'll talk about how like, oh, if you go to the hospital, like I'll stay at the entrance, I don't want to go in there, I can't handle
it right now.
I can't handle it right now. But eventually near the end of the game, you go there, and eventually you're able to like talk to her and like get her at least to like the doorway where like she stays outside and everything, and you talk to Ilya about it. And Ilya just has this whole like conversation with you where she realizes Risha is outside and everything, but like her whole thing's like, yeah, they say like I may not be able to like dance or do anything, but like I don't believe that in the slightest. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to do whatever I can, and I'm going to get out of this bed. I'm going to dance on stage again, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that happens. And I hear maybe there's someone outside who also needs to hear this, but it would be great if we could do that together or something. Ha ha ha. It's just like, good Lord, this gal is just like ridiculous.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously you kind of knew she had like this unwavering confidence throughout, you know, the first game and this game, which is how she is, because she's like, she is the star of that performance and everything, and she exudes star power. And you learn through that, you get that through like all your conversations with her and everything, but like just to see her like use that in the face of like such adversity as she is facing at that moment is just like, holy crap.
It's amazing.
This girl is unflappable in terms of just like anything bad happens to her. She's like, "No, I'll get through it. Whatever. Don't care. Can't stop me."
And it's wild because like Lloyd's not sister,
Cecile.
yes, like they're best friends, so obviously she's really worried about her. If you go and see Sully, like Sully is doing nothing but practicing the whole time because she wants to like make a good show for her when she gets back.
Yeah.
Which is also like really good character development on Sully.
Because Sully also has like feels she has the burden on her of like it should have been me who got crushed there. It should not have been her.
Right. And then like when Risha disappears, she's like, now it's literally just me. Like everything's on me. So like poor gal. She's going through it too. But Ilya though, like she just does not, like nothing will stop her. It's really impressive.
It's so good. Like that scene and just like this, there's like a scene like I think after she wakes up and you talk to her, like she also kind of like has that same kind of like optimism about herself, and it's just like, good Lord, gal.
She's like literally the have confidence.
Yeah, no kidding.
Side of it doesn't get the no confidence part.
Also, I just love in this game, anytime you go up to talk to her, she sees Lloyd. She's like, oh, it's my favorite little guy.
My favorite little guy.
It's so funny.
She loves you.
Hey, my favorite little guy. How's it going?
My favorite little guy. Man, speaking of favorite little guy, can you freaking believe you see Guy again? And he's like, hey, maybe you should go hit on my fiance.
What a menace.
My dude, what are you doing?
And Lloyd's just like, wait, what? No. What? That's weird. Stop that.
No. Why are you like this?
Thanks, Ghost Brother.
Guy. Ghost Brother's just like, you know, I give you permission if you want to hit on my girl. Like, she's pretty hot.
And he's like, nah, you got your own gal now. Hey.
Hey, she's cool too.
She's probably too good for you. Hey.
I did think it was funny that he said that she's too good for him. Which I guess to be clarified, we both did the final bonding scene with Ellie, which is why he was saying that we had somebody that was too good for us. I wonder what he would say if you like ended up with somebody else, like if you had like Tio or Noel, or like even if you didn't do that and you bonded with like one of the guys.
Yeah, I
wonder what Guy would say at that point.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I appreciated what he had to say about Ellie because he's right. But yeah, I did think it was funny. He's like, "Hey, little brother." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Hey, how's it going?
Why are we making him talk like this?
I don't know. It just makes sense. He's got a mullet.
He does have a mullet. And then Lloyd goes and follows in his footsteps and has a mullet too later.
It's just the Banning's hair.
The Banning's look.
Yeah.
Yep. Just goes along in the back very easily. Amazing.
I feel like again we're just gonna talk about like the final chapter of this game because like that's where all the fun stuff happens.
Like everything's building to that, and like by us talking about the final chapter, we're talking about everything leading up to that final chapter by default.
But can we talk about Zeit? because man, good twist, but also
Yeah.
I just love that. So Lloyd's escaping from prison and everything. He goes down into the little forest where they train like the CGF trains.
Knox Forest.
Yeah, where like they send him down there and they're like, all right, survive and do your best. So like he goes down there to try to evade the Crossbell Defense Force, I think is now what it's called, and like the police and everything. And like he's cornered. He's just like, oh man, I wish everyone was here. You know, Randy, Ellie, Noel, Wazzy, Tio, Kia, Sergey, and then you just hear like, hey, why wasn't I mentioned? Why weren't you thinking of me? And you're like, who's that? And then this giant wolf shows up, and you're just like, excuse me? Sight? Is that you? He's just like, sup?
He's the size of a tree.
Yeah, he's like, sup? I'm gonna scare these guys off for you. Then we got some talking to do. I got some explaining to do.
I also love that Lloyd is just like, bro, how do you always have the best timing?
Right. It's so good.
Also, as a side note, it's mentioned like as a very like throwaway line, but like there's a fairy tale that's talked about in Crossbell at one point. Like it's like White Wolf and the I forget that girl's name.
No, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. And like they mention with Zeit, they're like, oh, you know what this is about? He's like, oh yeah, might have been about me.
Yeah.
And
like,
then
I know that gal.
well, and he's saying that like, oh yeah, you know, the story says that she died, but that's not necessarily the case. And that like, oh hey, she might actually be working at St. Ursula now. He's saying that Cecile is the like descendant of that character.
Thanks, Sight.
Yeah. Like what a wild thing to just info dump on the side of the road.
You know, when you're trying to escape everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
just doing your thing.
I think one of my favorite things about Zeit showing up is it like when you go and find Randy again in your quest to like find everybody, you're like having a conversation. Zeit starts talking. Randy's like, "Cool. Wait a minute."
Like everyone has that same reaction.
I just like that Randy's is literally cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like when you go find Tio and like you're just having a conversation and Zeit speaks up and Tio's like, yeah. And like she just doesn't even like think twice about it, but like it's like
she's always understood him.
Yeah, she stops for a second and realizes like, wait a minute. Why are you speaking like human? What's going on here?
How are y'all talking to him?
How do you guys understand it as well? But yeah, I love how like anytime you save someone, Zeit shows up and like talks, and everyone's just like, whoa.
Excuse me?
What's happening here? But yeah, like Zeit shows up, he saves you, you go off running through the countryside. He just like info dumps on Dia, and he's like, so you are the Divine Wolf? He's like, yeah, that's me, yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
And then Wazzy shows up and was like, hey, Zeit called me.
Yeah, and I like as well, he's like, So those wolves you were hanging out with at the beginning of the first game, are those also Divine Wolves? Like, nah, they're just regular wolves that like I just took under my wing and everything.
I just pal around with those guys.
Yeah, they're just my guys. It's fine. And then like you see them later on when you go to find Randy on the mining road, and like they're fighting with the Guardian Force, and just like it's real good. He's like, I sent my wolves over there to help them. They'll be fine. It's cool. They're good backup and everything. Yeah, I just love the idea of Zeit just turning out to be this bro.
Zeit's such a bro.
Cause like
what a good bro.
Because you think of like how they characterize him throughout like the first game and this game, like he's very kind of like tsundere in terms of like, oh, I guess I'll help you and everything. But then like he starts talking, he's just like, yeah, of course I'm gonna help y'all out. It's cool. y'all cool. I like you guys.
You've proven yourself.
Yeah, he's just a total
I like
bro.
It now. I love it. I love it so much. He just,
so
had to get big for a minute.
Yeah.
And then once he's big, he's like, all right, I like you now.
Oh, man.
It's so funny.
What a good time.
So good. Man, speaking of bros, Kevin wrecking his ship by using his stigma is rough.
And then everyone's just like, "You idiot! What are you
You
doing?"
idiot, you're not supposed to do that. Like when
You're
you
just
take
like,
Wazzy over
"Dee."
to like talk to him afterwards, he's like, you know you're not supposed to do that, right? Like it's a really dumb movie. He's like, I'm aware. Thank you. Thank you, Wazzy. Thanks.
I've already gotten a shoot out here already, so it's fine. I
Yeah.
understand.
I love that when he's like laying on the ground and Reese has him, he's like, I might get demoted for this. Want to be squires together? Um, but it is cute that like she's holding on to him after all that because it that's one of the things that he has a really hard time with. And the third is dealing with the stigma and the like pain with that.
Hmm.
Um, and like she tells him a few times like, hey, you gotta limit your use of this. This is not gonna be okay. So she's still protecting him there, and then you have the like instrumental version of Cry for Me, which it has a title. It's like something about like home. I don't remember the title. But it's so good. It's so good. What's the name of that song? Do you know the name of the song?
Nope,
Oop.
not at all.
Well, it's really, really good. But yeah, that scene was really fantastic and rip to his ship.
Yeah, it
And
goes down. Kaboom.
I do also appreciate that they have the moment where I think is it Wazir or is it Abbas who calls him like his old name and then corrects himself. It's like, oh right, never mind, you go by this now.
I feel like that's Wazzy.
And I think it is Wazi.
That's a Wazzy thing to do.
Yeah. Because that was another like big conclusion with the third was him changing what like his nickname is as a Grosritter. It's like, yes, yes. It's very good.
I
Um,
I will say, I think if there's one thing I don't necessarily like about the end of this game,
mhm.
I feel like the Croy's family turn is kind of unearned. It just feels kind of just super out of the blue.
Yeah.
And you're just like, huh, okay, I guess.
And we knew that Maribel was going to because we
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
her
yeah,
in
yeah.
Cold Steel.
But even like with like the context here, it still feels mostly just like you kind of just pulled this one out of the blue and didn't really give a whole lot of thought to this.
Um,
So
I think that it makes more sense with like Dieter than it did with Maribel.
yeah,
Like his felt a little bit more natural because like, oh hey, power hungry guy.
and like you can
Cool.
see with how like Arabonia and Calvert were like super pushing him around during the trade conference, and like how they just want to like rip a crossbell and everything of like how he could start to turn in that way. But they also reveal like, oh, this has been a plan in the making for years
For
and years and years,
years.
and it's just like, eh.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And like Maribel's turn in general, I was just like, okay, like I knew it was gonna happen, but like I wish it had happened better.
Yeah, it just feels kind of like it happens and it's just like a wet fart of a reveal.
Um, although one reveal that I feel like we have to talk about is the reveal that they all died.
Yeah.
Holy when I first got to that, I was like, excuse me?
I think it's a good little trick to do of like messing with the idea of them, because they show the beginning of Trails from Zero, right? At the
Mhm.
beginning of that game, they don't really show it, but like, I guess they do show a little bit. But like the beginning of that game is it's one of the sections of like, oh, we're gonna show you a later part of this game, and you're gonna play through it, and then we'll warp you back to the beginning of the game, and then you'll play through the game, and eventually you'll come back here.
And neither of the Brights are there.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. They hide the fact that Joshua and Estelle are there, which obviously you would do anyways because you don't want to spoil that they're going to show up.
Right.
Like that makes a ton of sense. But to have that wrap around to here of being like, yes, that was a thing, But also that was a timeline where you all died at the end, and I changed, or Kia changes it all because she didn't want you all to die. It's a really interesting way to play into that, like, oh, we're just hiding this because we don't want to reveal it, but also this is actual story relevant, and we did this as well because it's a different timeline now.
That's so nuts. Man. There was something else I was gonna bring up about like ending twists too. It had to do with all that.
The Ian twist?
Well, I was thinking more about like the they died twist, but I'm blanking on what I was gonna say, so it doesn't really matter.
Womp womp.
Brain fart. We were talking about how the Croy buildup was not as good. Especially if you get the scenes that build up to it. I think that Ian's turn is actually very well done.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because there are scenes that you can get that are little like side scenes that are just kind of a moment of like, huh.
There's a moment, I think it might be after when Crossbell gets burned, and you're kind of just going around trying to find information or something, it's around like chapter 3 or chapter 4, and you're just going around to everyone trying to find information and stuff. And I was going around to all the places I knew and everything, and I went to his place, and the door was locked, and I was like, that's strange. Why would he not be here? Oh, well, anyways, da-da-da-da-da. I didn't really think much of it. I just remember thinking, that's real weird and strange. I don't know why it's weird and strange, but it's weird and strange. But anyways, let me move on and do my other things. And then, like, once I got to, like, the reveal and everything, I was like, oh, okay.
There's another scene if you go to the cemetery at one point. Because there's a grave this whole time that like you can examine a few times, and it's like, oh yeah, the name is too worn for you to see who it is.
Right.
But there's one scene that you can go to the cemetery, and the like gravekeeper guy is actually outside, whereas he's normally inside the little hut. And they ask like, hey, who is this? And they're like, oh yeah, that's Ian's family. Is his wife and his daughter, you know, they died in an attack, and you know, I keep offering to fix the tombstone for him, but he says that, you know, this is good enough, that he wants it to stay like this, and you know, I gotta respect that. And I was like, huh, interesting. And then there is another scene with the little assistant kid that he has,
right,
that if you talk to him, he's like, so I'm never allowed to touch his desk.
Yes.
But he told me like, hey, if something happens, like please clean my desk.
Yeah. And like you
this
find
is
that
weird.
letter in there.
Yeah. Yikes.
And like even if you think about it, like the idea of him being at the trade conference is kind of weird as well.
They play it off as like, oh, he's a lawyer.
Yeah, we need a lawyer there. And just like, okay, sure, I guess, but like but in the context of now, you're just like that. Yeah, sure. Can't imagine why you would need him there or anything. But yeah, he's just another part of this huge plan to. Basically, the whole plan is that like they're going to use Kia to bring forth the Septarium of Zero and wrestle control of the entire continent to Crossbell, so they can't get bullied by Erebonia or Calvert anymore, and basically can do whatever they want essentially because they have the power to. Like
Arios is part of that because his wife died, and Shizuku was blinded in an attack. I think they say it's Erebonia. I don't remember if it's Erebonia or Calvert, but it might have been both of them.
Yeah, I think there might. I don't know if they actually like claim one, but like there's like rumor like, oh yeah, the rumors are it was one of these, and yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
something of that nature.
Like one of the cute things about this is the Kia is able to like fix Shizuku's eyes, which
and like
is
the
nice.
whole time in like the last chapter, Shizuku's just like, I don't want my dad to do all this. Like this sucks. I don't want him to do this, and Ara's the whole time is like, I gotta do this. I don't really want to. I gotta.
Man, his little like subsection of the final dungeon where like all the chains are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, buddy.
Very Ace Attorney-ish.
It is very Ace Attorney-ish. And then like he keeps telling you like I'm the one who killed Guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's very obviously not the truth, but he's sticking to that the whole time. He's like, yeah, I know he died from a gunshot. I was a cop. I know how to use a gun. Yeah. And they're like, dude, like, look at the weapons. There's no chance that would have been the case. Zero chance. Um, but he's just like sticking to that lie until you can't anymore.
Yeah, because essentially he's like, he feels he's responsible for that
Responsible
happening.
for it happening.
Yeah. And he's carried that guilt for all these years now, essentially.
Because he considered Guy like one of his best friends,
Mm-hmm.
if not his best friend. And he was also, his comrade. And if he had not been as obsessed with this entire plan, then Guy wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
And that's part of why he hid the weapons, is that he didn't want his involvement to be known.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like that he like left them with Chizuku. It's like, yeah, if you see Lloyd, give him these. I was like, hell yeah, these are great. Sorry, I'm gonna replace him with the actual
I did the
like
same thing!
ultimate weapon.
I did the same thing!
I felt like such a
No, that's exactly what I did as well, so.
yeah, I was like, these are super good for the plot, but this weapon's better.
Yeah, give me this cool weapon.
Oops.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Kia becomes a normal real girl afterwards. After they hang out with Guy. I love that Guy's just like, yeah, I think she was trying to resurrect me at some point.
Do you want that to happen?
And this is one moment that I really love Lloyd because he's asked directly like by Guy, would you have wanted this to happen? Would you want me to come back? Because you realize nothing that has happened since then would have happened to you. And he's like, no, like I would love to have you back, but I also don't want to erase everything that's happened
Mm-hmm.
because it's stuff that means a lot to Lloyd.
Yeah.
So, like, that's obviously a very hard choice to have to deal with. It's kind of unfair for Guy to ask him, but I do appreciate that they got to have another, like, a last talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, Kia, you're my kid. I'm gonna protect you. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let go. We gotta get out of this void somehow, man.
We gotta get out of the void, and also the street's gonna collapse. We gotta go.
We gotta go.
I think another interesting thing about like the final dungeon as well is that like because you fight quite a few bosses. You fight Shirley, you fight the big guy, Randy's uncle, Arios. But like every time you fight them, it's not like
don't forget Wald.
Yes, Wald as well. But like every time you fight all of them, like they don't like have like this like vehement hate for you or anything. It's kind of like they have this underlying respect for the SSS, and just like, hey, go do what you gotta do after after you beat them and everything. Which I think is really interesting to have like this core set of villains do that.
Yeah,
because it's not something you really see a lot in terms of like final dungeon encounters of like that they would just be like, hey, you did the thing, go do what you're here to do.
One of my favorites in that was Shirley, actually. Because it made Cold Steel 3 make some more sense to me, but also like there's a part where she's like, man, you guys let your guard down, I could have shot you just then.
Yeah.
But then she's like, I'm too tired.
I need a nap.
But then she says like, maybe I should take them up on that job offer.
And
it's like, oh, she feels like she's not strong enough, so she joins Ouroboros. I'll be damned.
Yeah. Which I think is going to lead into some interesting things in Reverie as well.
I think so.
One of the things I know about that game.
Oh, what do you know about that game?
I think there is a section in that game, like a story section in that game, where she's helping train the little prince.
Oh, Cedric.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
it's like
Yeah,
there's a part
because
of the story of that game where like Cedric's going through Ouroboros training and everything.
holy.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Huh. I wonder how they're gonna get on
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
personality-wise. Oh boy. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. But yeah, I like that there is like a respect there, that it's not like a cartoon villain type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something that the Trail series tends to do pretty well.
Even like Mario Bell's like at the end there is kind of like, you beat me. I gotta go. I got stuff to do. I'm joining the Ouroboros now. I'm a new
Hmm.
Anguis. Also, by the way, I didn't kill Ian. He's kind of just wounded. He's in a little stasis, but you can get him out of here in time. You'll be fine. Get him treated and everything. But
Yeah.
I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.
Bye bye. I love how everybody gets job offers. They're just like, all right, I gotta go.
See ya.
Except for Dieter, he gets
He gets
put
a
in
jail
prison.
offer.
Jail offer. Him
Did
and
you
Ian are both in jail.
did you when you were in the jail section, did you like talk to any of the prisoners?
Yes.
Did you so you got that conversation with what's his face?
The assistant to the mayor?
Yeah, blah blah blah. Ernest, yeah.
Ernest, yes.
Where
Yes,
like
I
he
did.
talks to Lloyd about he's like, yeah, I'm off the drugs now. I feel real bad about everything that happened. Like, oh man, I screwed up. Like, hey, you ever want to like chit chat after like this or anything? Like, hey, I'll be here.
You know where I live now.
Yeah, I thought that was like a good scene of like, hey, like acknowledging like I super messed up. Like I got some atoning to do. And Lloyd's just like, yeah. We'll chat sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean these people that like don't seem redeemable in Zero, or even I guess the beginning of this one. Because like Ernest didn't really seem redeemable. He seemed very like cartoony villain at points, but then like you get this, you're like, oh wow, okay. Like he was very much misled and lied to by a cult leader. Wow, who could have seen that coming?
I feel like the gist of both these games is that like, people can get very easily manipulated.
Yeah.
Because like every villain in this game, I feel like at some point is easily manipulated, except for like the Ouroboros people who like have an idea what they want to do, and like even then they're still manipulating other people. So it's just like everyone's getting manipulated at some point.
Like even Garcia seemed like such a turbo asshole in the last game, and then you get him in this one, and he's like, you know what? I respect you, kid.
Yeah.
I don't understand you. I don't like your way of living, but I respect you and I'll help you out. And then like
you're like your brother, kid.
I like that moxie on you, child. But then like when you go back and see him again, like after the breakout and everything, he's like he got real messed up. And like, yeah, I don't really want to see you. I still don't like really like you. But man, you're a lot like Guy, and I respect that. Respect.
Okay, two things that are about these games. People getting manipulated. Respect.
Respect. Like even okay, so we both went and rewatched the epilogue of Cold Steel 2 after playing this.
Yeah, okay, so like I guess to say like the way this game ends in particular is that, everything's all hunky dory. But then immediately okay, for like a hot second, and then immediately it's like, oh, by the way, Erebonier is gonna come in and everything, and they've invaded Crossbell, and now they've taken over Crossbell, and everything's bad again. That's how the game ends.
They basically played a Shadow Hearts 1.
Yeah.
Where they end with like, here's World War.
Franz Ferdinand has been assassinated.
But then like you see like Lloyd on the run and having to like hide behind a wall with Kia and Arios, and like you see that things are going down. You're like, oh god.
Yeah, but like you said, this all leads into the epilogue in Cold Steel 2, where again, if you had like when we played this originally, it was very confusing because like we had obviously not played these games in the slightest yet because they are not out yet. So like just going into this with no context whatsoever, it was just very confusing. But yeah, you get to see like to recap essentially the epilogue of Cold Steel 2. You play as Lloyd and Rishia, who are sneakily maneuvering through the Geofront, trying to get some data, some information about Crossbell citizens and whatnot. off of the servers so that the Erebonian government can't use it against them or anything. And who do
Mm-hmm.
they run into but Reen and Altina, who are working for the government and everything. And again, the interesting thing about that originally, when like you don't have the context or anything, is they're like, oh, here's Reen and he's a kind of a villainous here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now having the context of these games as well, you understand like why these two are doing this and everything, and like all the references they make and everything. It's like, oh, Nahone.
This all makes sense. It's amazing what happens when you have context. But again, like this whole thing, like there's so much respect on both ends. Like Lloyd and Reen respect each other so much in this epilogue, which is wild.
Yeah, like there's immediately like Lloyd's just like, oh, you also do the same style that Arios does. Interesting.
He's like, oh, I'm not anywhere near that level, but thanks. And I think that the thing that's so interesting about that is that like it's very clear playing the Cold Steel games that like Reen is not okay.
No.
Reen is not having a good time post, basically I don't know, the first chapter of Cold Steel 1. He has some good times in between there, but
Post the end of Cold Steel 1, let's say.
Yeah, he's not okay. But he says something about like Lloyd says something about how he's sad. And I was just like, even Lloyd recognizes it.
Bruh.
And like Lloyd realizes like he's not doing this because he wants to. He's not trying to.
What if we just went fishing?
He's not. Those two should fish together.
Let's go get some bruh fish.
God, they should fish together. Can you imagine those two fishing together?
Be real good. What if there needs to be, okay, forever he does not give me a mini game or a scene of like the boys fishing together, I'm going to be very upset.
Same. But like there's like an understanding there, and I appreciated that because I think Lloyd realizes like he's not doing this on his own will. Like he's not being a villain to stop us. Like he's there's something going on there.
And I think like he even like hears like, oh, Lecter called him, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know Lecter, huh? Okay. All right.
And all tracks. But yeah, that scene with context, wow. Very different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
This game's really good.
Hey, it turns out this game's pretty good.
The two things that we have said that are not good about this game, well, 2.5. One, the Croy turns.
Yeah.
2, you don't have the Geofront theme and you don't have the good battle theme.
Mm-hmm.
The half is Noel.
Yeah, there you go.
The rest of it is good video game. Holy is it good?
It like again, like I'm very excited to play Reverie now, like even more so.
Oh yeah. I was jazzed to play Reverie. Now I'm even more jazzed to play Reverie.
Immediately I finished this game and I went to really look in to see like, okay, what's going on with Reverie, because I really hadn't like paid attention to. I mean,
what's the deal with Reverie?
I hadn't like looked at any like the localized trailers or anything like that, or like because I just wanted to kind of keep blinders on to see, because I wanted to get through these games first and then look into that, and then like I saw the trailer and like it's like, okay, hey, by the way, we're gonna give you the ending to the Crossbell arc that you've wanted, and I was like, yeah, let's go. And like I looked up, I was like, okay, who's all the characters that are returning for this? And it's like, it's everyone you want. Like all the SSS are here. Like Wazi's here as well. Noel's gonna show up. The main group. Wald shows up and he's working with Wazi. And he's got glasses. I was like,
he's got glasses.
That's great. Garcia shows up and I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Just like everyone you want to show up from the Crossbell games is showing up in Reverie for this story section.
And it's great.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for that.
I am too. Like everybody's talked about like this is the third Crossbell game essentially, and I'm like, oh, you have my attention.
Because essentially at the end of this game you don't really get a real a real satisfying conclusion, because like, I mean, obviously there's good things that happen at the end, but immediately it gets undercut because like, oh yeah, Erebonia invades and Crossbell is annexed and everything's gone bad again. And then obviously, as you see in Cold Steel 3 and 4, like things aren't going great for Crossbell still. So like, this is really like kind of like the final time that they can really give you that ending for this arc that it really had kind of deserved. And they're doing it, which I'm really glad for, because like it's essentially it is the SSS and all your Crossbell pals fighting against Rufus and everything. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how it goes down, and I'm very excited to play it.
Yeah, and I've been replaying Cold Steel 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy,
Things hit
that
different
Crossbell
now.
section
Yeah.
hits very. Even like the sky stuff hits different for me now. I'm like, oh, amazing.
It's neat what a little context will do for you.
I mean, like the games were already phenomenal and I loved them, but like having that context takes it up another little notch that, pretty legit.
Again, I will continue to say it is super surprising, because like Reverie is the 10th game in the Trail series.
Is it the 10th?
It is the 10th. Three Trails games, or 3 Sky games, 2 Crossbell, 4 Cold Steel games.
Okay, yeah.
That they're able to weave such a coherent story together throughout so many entries in a series.
Mm-hmm.
That just, it's hard to see. I mean, it's hard to even imagine like any other series being able to do this. Like, it just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
So it's still it's still very surprising and wild that they are able to pull this off successfully all the time. Not all the time, I should say, but like just most of the time.
Right.
It's very cool.
It's super, super cool. Like, there are not many games doing what the Trail series does. And like, I am super, super, super glad that we've gotten into them, because holy they're good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tokyo Xanadu.
Yeah, shouts out.
Shout out to Tokyo Xanadu.
The game's coming to Switch soon. In Japan.
Is it? Oh,
But probably over here as well at some point.
I'd replay that game.
It's a good game. Anyways, that's going to probably wrap it up for us this week.
Yeah.
We have finished out the Crossbell arc. We will return to the Trail series once Reverie comes out in July. So that'll probably
not June.
No, not June.
Nope.
That's Final Fantasy month.
Oh god, there's so many games coming out this year.
Yeah, too many games coming out. I mean, it's every year, but still. But yeah, we'll return to this series sometime in July after we both played through that, and we'll talk about all the stuff that happens there.
Yay.
But for now, if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimeCheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared and I'll watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well. Next week, we don't have a plan yet, but we have quite a few options to choose from.
Yep.
So we'll find something from there probably, unless something else comes up. We'll just chit chat about that.
In the meantime, please love Randy Orlando.
Randy Orlando.
Bruh.